And I see Molly here.
Yep. Go ahead, Barbara.
Did I see Molly here from Norway? Hi,
Yes.
Molly.
Let's see. So we've got 2 people from Oregon, and Nancy, you're tuning in from Massachusetts on the East Coast. I'm in Sydney, Australia. Maureen, do you want to say a quick hello?
Oh, hi. I'm in Sydney and I've just finished an hour's Pilates class this morning. So ready to draw and relax.
Well, you get gold stars for that. What a morning. And Q-Ping, do you want to unmute yourself and just say hello where you are in the world? Yeah. Speak up so we can hear you. Hi. Yep. Okay, we're having trouble with your sound, but I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. I'm from Oh, I'm going to turn my sound up and see if I can hear you better then. Speak close to your mic.
I'm from LA, California.
Well, we're glad you're here. Okay, Mina's coming in from Adelaide. And Suzanne, where are you tuning in from?
Sydney.
Okay. Gotcha. Yep. Good.
Nice, cool Sydney.
Yes, yes. We had so much heat and humidity last week. And I looked at the video and my glasses were all steamed up with condensation. It looked very strange. But yeah, I'm very glad to have it not so humid and not so hot this week. It's much easier to concentrate.
Can you hear me now better?
Yes, yes, wonderful, wonderful. That's good.
Sorry, I was connected to the Bluetooth. I didn't realize. So, my name is Tiffany. This is my English name. Oh, Chinese name. My family is from Korea, and I'm from LA.
Okay, you're gone garbled again. Just get close to your microphone so we hear you. You were very, very clear for a minute there.
I'm from LA, California.
Good. And Stefania, hello, hello. Always looking elegant.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Sorry I'm late. I hope I'm not too late.
No, that's all right. We were just collecting ourselves and saying hello. Do you want to say where you are in the world and say hello?
Yes, I'm from Melbourne, Australia. And hello to everyone else.
Yeah, great. Very good. All right. Well, we will get going. I will just start sharing screen. And there we go. Share. That. There we go. Okay. Right. Here we go. Okay. So the first drawing we'll do is the breathwork exercise. And for this, you just need one marker and a piece of paper. So this is not to show anyone. It's not, it's just about unwinding, doing the breath work and relaxing. So we'll get started for that. I'll give you a second just to get organized. Good. Okay, and just wave at the camera if you've got a marker and a piece of paper, just if you're ready for that. Great, wonderful, good. All right, okay. So we will get going. We're using the one that we did initially. Why are we not going? No trouble with the video. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here is square breathing. So we're going to be breathing into the count of 3, holding the breath for the count of 3, breathing out for the count of 3, and holding the breath for the count of 3. We're drawing this shape, and we'll just be slowly drawing up and down. You can do it any size you like, and I'll start with it. And when you're ready, you can dive in. So, and if at any time you feel uncomfortable, just stop, go back to your own natural breath. But it's square breathing is used in yoga, in martial arts, and by Navy SEALs as a way to clear your head and to increase your concentration so that it's easy to focus. So again, we'll be breathing into the count of 3, holding the breath for the count of 3, breathing out for the count of 3, and holding the breath. So you're just sort of going around and around and around with this. Okay, let's move along to start the drawing. Okay, so piece of paper and a marker, and you can draw this any size. It doesn't have to look good. It can be messy. That's not the point. It's just about the process of giving us something for our brain to do while we're doing the breathing. I'm going to be doing this along with us. And sometimes at first, you can find it a bit tricky to stay with the breath work. That's okay. And just ease into it as you're calm down and get comfortable. Here we go. Okay, so breathing in, going up, holding the breath, breathing out, hold the breath, breathing in, holding the breath, and breathing out. And hold the breath, and breathing in, and hold the breath, and breathing out. Hold the breath, breathing in, hold, breathing out. It's a little bit fast, isn't it? Hold, breathing in, hold, and breathing out. Hold. Right. Gotten that mixed up, haven't I? Yes. Hold. Breathing in. Hold. And breathing out. Hold. Breathing in. Hold. And breathing out. Hold. Breathing in. Hold. Breathing out. Just stay with it for a few more to slow ourselves down. Breathing in. Hold. And breathing out. Hold. Breathing in. Just a couple more. Breathing out. Hold. Breathing out. Breathing in. And there. All right. Good. All right. What was that like for you today?
I'll speak.
Sure. Go ahead.
For me, I started kind of small. And then as I was concentrating on my breath, I don't know if you can see that, my loops came bigger because I think I was taking deeper breaths. I was really focusing on my breathing. So as I was breathing in, I found myself really extending my loop and then coming down with that and extending. So yeah, you can definitely see there's some change in pattern.
Yeah. Thanks. Yep. Suzanne, do you want to make a comment?
Yes, I think I shared with you on the first session that I managed to do 3 loops to everybody else's 1, which meant I wasn't really slowing down at all. So this time, I use different colors. But this time I actually did find myself slowing down, and I agree. My loops got longer, and I think I was taking deeper breaths. So it was definitely more effective for me this time, or I was in a better space to do it this time. So thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Maureen, what was that like for you today?
I started off doing the square breathing because that's the slide you had up, and I thought you were talking to the square breathing. And then when I realized we were doing the up and down, I changed to that. And once I got into it, again, my loops got longer as my breaths got longer. So yeah, it's nice and calm and relaxed by the end of it.
Yep. I do find that when I start, I'm breaths all over the place. And when I'm becoming more conscious, it becomes a bit more even. And as you're saying, you noticed for you that your breaths were getting longer as you calm into it. And it can also be a sort of a taking your temperature check, just to notice what's going on, regardless of how much control you have of calming it down. Sure. Mina, what was that like for you today?
It was definitely much better than the last time when I was kind of struggling to, stop my breath and then draw at the same time. This time I found that I was kind of flowing with it. So it was definitely better, yeah.
Now, were you in the last session when we did a different drawing?
Yeah, the one with the box.
Yeah, which did you have a preference between them?
I found this one easier.
Okay.
I did find this one much easier than the other one, yes.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I just wanted to experiment and get some feedback on those two, because I don't want to make it hard. I just want to make it something that works for people. Yep. Sure. Nancy, do you want to give a comment?
I started with because of one of your slides, I showed the square, started with the square, and then I switched over, but my waves were big enough that I ran out of space, so I had to go below. And I actually started doing it with my non-dominant hand, and that was a little weird. I found it did slow down my breathing, because it was like sort of my brain then was paying more attention to the drawing than the breathing, which made it easier for me to get slower in my breathing, if that makes sense. Because I wasn't then like going, am I doing this right? Am I doing it wrong? I got less anxious, I guess.
Yes.
Which I expected from going to my non-dominant hand.
Yep. Sure. Sure. Barbara, do you want to say anything?
My breath in my hand never did quite connect. So I started out with the squares, and then okay, she's doing up and down, and then I didn't ever want to do that, and then it did, and then it became those neat loops, and I thought, oh, this is cool, and then I totally forgot about my breath altogether, because I thought, wow, I'm getting into these loops.
I think I need either a verbal explanation of square drawing and no diagram, and doing this loop drawing.
I really like the square that we did yesterday.
Okay.
A lot.
Yep.
Or that we did last time.
Yep.
A lot.
Okay. Did you find that worked better for you? Or it made more sense? Yep. That's what we're doing. Yeah. I don't know if I should pick one or the other, or but yeah. Sorry, go on, Barbara, just finish what you were saying.
Well, just I think both. And.
Okay. All right. Yep. Yeah, I mean, basically I want to get one thing that works that people can tune in with. Virginia, do you want to make a comment?
Yeah, Jean, I was the one that gave the feedback about the square breathing, because I learned it in a different context and I'm familiar with it, and I found that original drawing distracting from actual square breathing, and that this time your timing was still out about breathing in, hold your breath. So you weren't actually, so that was fine as a breathing just a relaxing breathing exercise, but it wasn't square breathing. And I felt, because I watched the video, I felt last week your drawing for the square breathing was easier to concentrate on square breathing. But there is no, as we know, there's no right or wrong. It's just with breathing exercise works better for you, the loops and whether people can relax into that. But I don't feel that supported learning square breathing. I was struggling to keep my timing because I'm very familiar with square breathing. But the drawing from last week is good for focusing on the, actually visually doing a square and going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's I think it's up to go, all right, either or, but I think the square drawing supports the square breathing.
Yes. Yeah.
You've got to do something visual, particularly when people are new to it, because it does take a bit of concentration.
Yes.
And I even lose my focus with my 1, 2, 3s and ins and outs and so on. But to get the real heart slowing effect of the square breathing, you actually need to do the square breathing.
Yes.
It's an earthquake. Hang on.
Ooh.
Sorry, interrupted.
Oh, that's okay. This is real life. Yeah.
So back to you.
Yep. Okay. Gotcha. Anyone else want to make a comment before we go on? Yep. Go ahead, Stefania.
Yeah, I just had a question, and VA, I'm not sure your name is Virginia. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Commenting on that, I was a bit confused too. So I thought when you talked square breathing, I automatically thought about the square box as well.
Yeah.
I think that confused me. But then,
Sure.
is this square breathing too?
It is. It is. I had used this drawing for quite a while, and that was all right. But it didn't correlate with explaining square breathing because there's nothing square about it. And so I wanted to, Virginia pointed that out, and I thought that's a valid point. What if I did a drawing that was square that would correlate with the breathing? Would that make it easier to take it in? And people said that with a square, drawing the squares, that they were worried about their squares were kind of wonky. They didn't draw them terribly well. Well, this one, people didn't seem to have any issues with how they were drawing, or they weren't worried about that. So I just wasn't sure what was the best direction.
No, I was just saying what confused me. I think I just wanted to point out whether it was only me. The fact that you said square, maybe because I'm so visual, I then automatically referred to that square box.
Okay. All right. Well,
maybe my name may need to change. I don't know. That's a suggestion. Your slow breath breathing, curvy, whatever.
Yeah.
Because
I do the square. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jean. So I don't know whether anyone can see my ghastly drawing here because the light's not very good, but I actually did sort of like imitated the square process with Jean's drawing to be able to focus on the square. So I did this kind of across, up, down to the count, so I could keep my focus on keeping my breath square. And Jean, unfortunately, your commentary was out of timing.
It was.
With
You're right.
The square process, so it was distracting trying to keep the square breathing when you were too short for the hold. You weren't going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Yep, I'll re-record that. Yep.
Yeah, if people can, you may be better off to actually record that whole thing and just play it quietly, so that because it is hard when you're kind of trying to focus and draw and talk it through.
Yes. Yeah.
And while people are learning it, because if you get this down pat, the square drawing, it's actually really helpful. Yes. I had an experience on the weekend when we were driving somewhere. I could feel my whole nervous system going, and I just focused for like 10 minutes. I just breathed, breath. So by the time I got there, I was calm and centered, not blah, 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 blah. So that was really helpful to have that in your toolkit.
Yes.
For any time, anywhere, just to pull it out and start doing it.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. So I'll mute myself again. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is a very useful tool for, yeah, when you've got raging thoughts, when anxiety level goes up. So yeah, okay, I will definitely re-record it with the timing right, and we can do either the drawing the square or the sort of crenellated castle top edge, and just use one of those, and that will be a lot more easy. Carol, go ahead. Yeah, do you want to say?
A thought occurred to me because at least 2, maybe 3 people have commented on, is my drawing right? Is my drawing okay? And really it isn't the drawing at all. It's
No.
and that's not important. That's your inner editor saying this is crappy, you're a bad artist, blah, 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 blah. You just have to say, go away, let me alone.
Yeah.
And breathe and let your fingers do whatever. It doesn't matter if you're drawing squares. I like that too. Pattern a lot. I think that would be easier, but it also would run you off the paper. You might want to take some butcher paper to do it on. It's the breathing. I have done yogic breathing for a long time. It slows the heart down beautifully, slows your respiration down, increases your lung capacity. I've had medical people get very upset because my heart rate will be so low when I'm doing the breath test, or the lung capacity is so high, but it's all because I've done this for years without any kind of art connection.
Sure.
So for me, either one has been fine. Because I can settle into it and just let everything else go. It's like counting when you're sleepless, counting backwards from 100. Pretty soon you're down to 92 and you've lost your place because your mind simply doesn't stay with you. It just simply goes into park.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting what you're saying about the medical response of going, my goodness, you're really calm. Yes.
Yeah, are you still breathing?
high lung capacity and breathing slowly sounds like a good combination.
Well, it was 2 parts of the test for hospital admission, but I remember it clearly because even though this was like 30 some years ago, because people got really excited and there I was on the table and I was still breathing, but was I with them? Well, yeah, I was. I just was relaxing.
You were calm and relaxed. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the important thing is to tell yourself it really is not important what I'm doing. What is important is to shut down the mind and let it be calm.
Yeah. I'll make a note of that, just to say, and you're absolutely right that the drawing itself isn't important. It's just a technique to give your brain something to do so that it doesn't wander off and it just stays in the present. So, yep. Okay, great, good.
Jean, you could also just make the drawing part optional, but people learn the breathing technique. And if they want to draw with it for concentration, they can. But if they don't, it's not sort of, it's not a strong part of it. It's to learn the breathing technique to give for people who haven't learnt some particular anchoring breathing technique like yogic pranic breathing or something like that. It gives them something as an anchor.
Yep. Great. Yeah. Because I mean, when I'm talking on a video, I want to be careful what I say because people can take it very seriously. And I don't want it to be taken as God, God or gospel.
Absolutely. So I don't know if anyone else agrees with me on that one. So, show of hands or something. But
no, I think optional is very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's certainly true. Yeah. And Barbara, we're glad you're okay. And earthquake has passed. That's rather amazing.
Yes, I was looking in my screen, in my video screen, to see if things started falling off that shelf like they did in the last one. What's above me?
Well, we got to hang out with you through the earthquake. Yeah. Yes.
Lucky you.
Okay. All right. We'll go on from here. And all right. Okay. I will share screen and we'll go on. All right. Share screen. Okay. Right. So this is our inspiration for today of what we're doing. And with all the drawings that we do, you can follow along with what I'm doing. You can also take it in a completely different direction. That's absolutely fine. This is to give you some tools to work with, some creative prompts, and they're yours to play with the way that you want. So yeah, so there's a lot of different flower designs, and I've intentionally made them unrealistic so that there isn't any right or wrong about this, and that it's about creating patterns and playing. You can do completely different layouts. That's entirely up to you. Okay, just yeah. And yeah, so here are a bunch of the different flower patterns. I've had men look at them and going, I could make some of those into spaceships. So that's also an option, whatever you would like to, what you'd like to play with. So I've done a lot of the drawings just in black and white, and then I add a little color. Generally, I suggest that you pick maybe 3 colors at the beginning of a session so that your brain isn't making lots and lots of color choices through the session. And I also find that spurs me on doing more creativity and more exploration with those colors. So yeah, pick out maybe 3 colors in black to begin, and you can just get yourself set up with a piece of paper, and we'll just slowly dive in. So if you need to get up and get a few markers, that's just fine. What I'm doing right now is just drawing some guidelines. You can work any way that you want. I'm doing a few light pencil guidelines, which you may not be able to see terribly well, but I find that when I'm doing detailed little drawings, I don't want to worry about where they're placed on the page. And also it's important to remember with this that the drawing again is expendable. This is not really about the drawing, it's about calming down. You might like the drawing you do. You might also just use this as a process to quiet down your brain. So it's perfectly okay to do a drawing that's exceedingly mediocre and toss it out at the end, and just use this as a process to quiet your brain down. So again, I'm just making some guidelines in pencil for stems and where I might place flowers, and your work may be quite different. That's absolutely fine. And on your worksheet, you've got some of the different flower designs. You can go along with those, and you can also just make up your own. And I find with mark making, I've looked at Van Gogh and Brett Whiteley, who's an Australian artist, and there's an awful lot of little marks in paintings that mimic a lot of the sorts of things that we're doing here. So if you want to use this in an art direction, we're sort of gradually building up skills if you want to go in that direction. So today I'm just choosing a few colors here, pink, purple, and orange, and those are the colors I'm going to work with, but I'm just choosing my markers and figuring out which ones I want. And sometimes I do that to sort of say, hey, do I like these colors together? Does this work for me? And then I select the few markers I want to work with and go with that. But this is sort of my process that I might play with, and sort of saying, what will I begin with? And yours might be different, and that's all fine. Okay, I'll just move along to the drawing. Okay. Another thing to remember is as you're drawing, you can move your piece of paper in any angle you like, because sometimes it's easier to draw lines sort of horizontally because we're used to doing that with writing. So you can turn your piece of paper around and play with it any way that you like. So. And again, the drawing doesn't really matter. You don't have to show it to anyone. You can, but it doesn't matter. This is really about having something fun and rather simple to do that you can just play with. And at the end, you might have a drawing that's pleasing and you might not, and you can check it out and do another one. A lot of these sessions I might have done maybe 6 different times. And when I'm stressed out, I really struggle to do flowing lines, and I usually just sort of throw out what I'm doing at the end, but it's nice as a process to just slow down what I'm doing. So I'm drawn some ground lines and some leaves, and you can again follow along with that or do something different. That's really okay. And everyone has their own way of working. I'm working here with markers, but you could also do this with colored pencil if you wanted to. And I'm just going to start with one of the flowers and look at what's on the worksheet and just mimic what's there. And as you go, just for once in a while, notice your breathing. And just see if you can slow it down. Just be conscious of that. Just notice what's going on for your body. Just tension. Or anything else that's going on in your body. Just take time to check in and notice. And with any of these drawings, you can also just work in one color. That's sometimes making decisions is more than you want to be doing in one day. Sometimes all you have is one marker, and that's absolutely fine. You can stay with that. Yeah, just give yourself this time to just slow down. And just notice what it feels like to draw on the page and how much pressure you're giving your marker. And does it make a different line if you increase the pressure? Over time, when you're working, you get to know your tools, whatever markers that you work with. And you get to notice all the little differences. Yeah, so that's the template that I had from the last page of the worksheet. And you can use that or not. That's up to you. And also it's important that you work at your own pace. You don't need to keep up with a drawing. That's not important. And sometimes I work quite slowly and sometimes I work more quickly. Just depends what's going on for me. Yeah, I'm just working on another flower, a second flower. And gradually just building up an image. And since we're not drawing realistic flowers, there's no right or wrong. You can approach this any way that you like, that works for you just today. The goal of this is hanging out together and just slowing down, taking some creative time. I sometimes find it rather pleasing just to see the progress of a design when I'm doing something really simple, just to see it, the pattern slowly build up on the page. There's something rather satisfying about that. And each session that I run has different creative prompts. They're quite varied. And it can just give you a place to start so that you're not looking at a blank page and wondering where to begin. Yeah, there's a second flower. I might add a little purple to it. With the worksheet, you can refer to that or not. Sometimes you might want to just go by the video, and that's fine too. But I found that some people use the worksheet as reference and go off and do a few other drawings using that as an artistic beginning. I'm just starting on a third flower. I'm just building things up bit by bit. Oh, you can do some deep breathing and some deep sighs if you like. You've got yourself on mute. Nobody's going to be wondering what you're up to. This also makes me think of different gardens that I've had at different houses that I've lived in and the different things that grew there. Remember when we lived in Ireland on the west coast, every once in a while the local farmers would let their cows out and they'd wander into our yard and all the neighbors' yards and just eat anything that was there and everything would be gone. But then my current garden in Sydney, all sorts of things grow that I've never seen before. I've got a guava tree and a banana tree in my backyard, which after growing up with snow is pretty amazing. Got about 40 bananas that are slowly ripening in the backyard. So just keep your mind on what you're doing. Sometimes your mind can fight when it slows down because it's so used to being busy and having so many thoughts. So when other things come up, you can always make a note. If there's something that you need to attend to later, it's a phone call you need to make or something you need to do, then just coming back to the present with making marks on paper and letting the world go away for just a little while. And giving yourself this time just to slow down. Find when I'm trying to draw the flowing lines of the leaves, I notice what my level of focus is or my level of relaxation is. When I'm relaxed and I've got a clear head, it's quite easy for me to draw flowing lines. But when I've got a really busy brain, I find it very difficult to draw the sort of flowing lines. And it's just a way of just checking in with myself and just noticing what's going on. And remember that you can turn your paper. So you can twist your paper whatever way that makes it easy for you to draw. And just slowly working around the page. There's something rather lovely about hanging out with people across the world and just drawing together. Just having this peaceful time together as human beings around the world. You can make up different plant forms. They're your own weird and wonderful variations. They don't need to look like mine, but they might. This is just your creative playtime. Yeah, and just notice the different marks that your markers make. Some markers you can sort of tip to the side and get a wider line. You can just see what you can do with the markers you have. You might experiment with dots and different kinds of lines or different kinds of squiggles and just see what the tools that you're working with can do. And you're slowly building up an image of some sort. And they'll all be different and they'll all be just a little bit the same, just starting from the same inspiration, but going in different directions. And that's just fine. Today I seem to wanted to stay with just black and white, so the drawing I'm doing along with this is just black and white today. Yeah, just adding a little color, a little segmentation along the leaves with some pink. Working my way around the page. And slowly building up an image. So I think the leaves might be done. You don't have to finish everything. It doesn't matter. It's just about spending the time together and slowing down. Good. Yeah, I just realized I wanted to make some pattern in the ground. Just see what works for you. Yeah, I'm just doing some zigzag between the lines in the ground. Create some patterning there. Find focusing on the zigzags takes a surprising amount of concentration. Good, good. This session's a little longer than some of the others, so if anyone needs to zoom out, that's okay. I've put a link to survey in chat. I'd really appreciate it if you could fill that out today. Just some questions, sort of big picture questions just about the workshop in general. There's no time pressure. You can do that whenever it suits you, but just so you know that it's there. If you need to sign out, then it'd be great if you could do that. Thank you. Otherwise, we'll just sit and keep drawing together, and that's just fine too. Yeah, so I'm just working my way around the page and slowly making some patterns. Again, everybody's will be different. It might be something that you'd like at the end, and it might be something you just go, oh, it was a nice experiment, but I don't want to keep it, and you can just toss it out, and that's just fine. Drawing can be a process that you go through to unwind. And doing some breathing. Maybe making some loud sighs and just letting the air whoosh out of you. Sometimes I forget when I'm concentrating and I start breathing very shallow. So just remembering to do that once in a while is really good exercise. And just so you know, the next session isn't going to be drawing an image at all. It's really about using a drawing process to vent strong emotions, and can be kind of fun, but it's quite different than what we're doing today. And I'll be very, very curious to get your feedback on that. It's yeah, it's a really interesting session. It's a really good way to let go of a bad mood, or if you're angry or frustrated or anxious, it's a really wonderful process that you can use to let go of the emotion that you're carrying. And can be kind of fun. I find I'm often very energized afterwards, which is, yeah, can be a useful process to turn anger or frustration or anxiety into energy that you can use to do something else. Good, good. I might just move the video along a bit. So. I've got about another 10 minutes. So you know time-wise what's on the plan. And if you need to leave, that's okay. So. The next one will stick to the shorter time frame. Yeah, I find a lot of these sessions sort of get me started in a direction, and then I want to play with the prompts in a few different ways. I've done some of these floral patterns just as a pattern and not as an image, like an overall, like a gift wrap pattern, and just played with doing that. And then sometimes I like making different sort of garden kind of images. So these are patterns you can play with. Yeah, and after the man said, oh, those could be spaceships, I thought I could play with that as well. It's always interesting how different people can look at something and see different things. Just gradually building up the petals bit by bit. Keep your mind on what you're doing. Try to stay in the present with the marks that you're making. That's what allows your brain to quiet down and recharge. When we're not multitasking and doing 7 things at once, the brain can just slow down to what we're doing. It gives it a chance to rest. And also during these sessions, if you want, you're welcome to play music in your own space. I'm not doing that just so you have the choice to have silence or music is what suits you. And the page is filling up. And a little bud. Imagining what a bud from one of these imaginary flowers might look like. All right, getting closer to the end. Another 5 minutes. Good, we're doing well. Just slowing down. Adding some colors to the leaves at the moment. And filling in a little bit of color between the black and white lines. Yeah, I'm adding a few touches so there's some color across the page. And the balance of where I put the different colors. You can also play with different weights of markers if you want, or not. Adding some medium lines around one of the flowers. What everyone creates is going to be a bit different, and that's kind of fun. But it is really important to know that you can use this as a process, and sometimes you like what you do for a drawing, but the drawing isn't what matters, and that it can be just the way of focusing the mind and allowing yourself to quiet down. It's perfectly okay to just throw something out at the end and just use it as a means to an end. Okay, just a couple minutes, we're going to come back together. About 2 more minutes and we'll come back and just check in. Yeah, and again, the surveys on the chat, if you can have a look at that at some point and fill that out, that would be really appreciated. This is just for me for planning the overall workshop and asking what brings people to the workshop and wanting to serve the needs of the people who are here.
Excuse me, Jean.
Yeah.
I can't see it on the chat. I don't know if anyone else can see it on the chat. I can't see it on the chat.
Ah, okay. I will Yeah, maybe when I share a screen, you can't see it. So that's, hang on. Thank you for speaking up, by the way. Yeah.
You
There
can
you
see
go.
it. It's on my screen. I clicked on the chat button at the bottom of my screen.
It came up now for me. It didn't
Yeah.
come up before.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Interesting.
Yeah, thank you for speaking up. Sometimes I can be doing something that's really annoying or obvious, but it might not be obvious to me. So I really appreciate it if it's doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, because I can't learn otherwise. Yes. And Suzanne said, this is probably better than beating a pillow with a baseball bat, but that's also another option. Yes. I like that. Yeah. Yes. I went to a workshop once where we were allowed to sort of get angry and smash some plates, and it was so satisfying. It was really fun. I mean, I'm not a person who does that sort of thing very often, but it was so nice to have permission as a safe space to just hurl, plates and watch them smash. And yeah, wonderful way of venting anger, but that's not necessarily something that you can do all the time. So you need some other things in your toolkit to slow yourself down. Yeah. Okay, well, if we want to just come back together and check in, I'd be curious to see what that was like for you, and yeah, just get some feedback. Stefania, do you want to check in?
Yeah, okay. I really enjoyed that, but towards the end, I was releasing, so I was letting go of stuff just by yawning, and I could feel I was like really observing my body, because when I do meditation like that, because it is for meditation, yeah, there was like pressure coming up to my head, and then I just yawned and just took some deep breaths, and it was just like a release. And I also found that, and maybe because I am so busy and cramming so much into my life, that it's a reflection on my picture. And that is, I've like crammed everything in such a little area. So that's me just, analyzing my own life through my drawings. That, yeah, maybe I just need to give myself a little bit more space. But I really enjoyed that. Yeah, it was great. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. Carol, did you have a go with that? What was that like for you?
I did. I used a template, and there's what I did.
Just a little higher. Oh, yeah,
Oh,
nice.
Lovely.
Yeah. And I love how they're all different.
Well, yeah, isn't that part of the point?
Yeah.
It's a little tedious if you're doing everything the same.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yes.
That's not what we want.
Yeah.
So you just keep working. You run out of ideas, and you pick up another color and you say, well, we'll try this. And so it gets a little more complex. And like Stefania, I was, don't know whether it was because I'm just plain tired all the time, but I was yawning and beginning to think about putting my head down on the table.
Yeah,
but anyway, it's a fun exercise, and it's the doodling is kind of mindless and relaxing and non-judgmental.
Good. Yeah.
Point.
Yep. Yeah. Maureen, what was that like for you today?
I found at first I was sort of a bit scattered, trying different things, and then it became very purposeful of you need to finish that pattern in that area. And then gradually I moved on to, as you said, how do you release? And I thought of all the different ways that I release, because I'd been to one of those plate throwing things up in the mountains, and that was massively fun, but learned some other techniques as well. But I'll show you my drawing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Nice. Thank you. Yep. Yes. Thank you. Barbara, would you like to share anything?
Sure. That was fun, and it actually was another doorway to stuff that I do a whole lot, which is Zentangling. So I did some of your drawings, and then I resorted to a bunch of my Zentangle forms that I really enjoy doing all the time. So it's just fun. It's kind of like old home week, and it reminds me of how deeply I go into my own nothingness when I'm doing Zentangling. It's great. It's a great practice, and I just adore it. I do it quite a bit, and it's very valuable for these reasons.
Yep, keeps us calm. Yeah, I was doing black and white. I, for some reason, dealing with color this week was just more than I could manage about the decisions, and just thought, no, okay,
I love the black and white.
I'll stay with black and white today. That's okay. Sometimes I, want to add all sorts of colors and do all sorts of things, and other times it's like, whoa, just slow down for a little while. Just let's slow down. So yeah, it's, and I think
I'm
it's
working in this tone tan book too, and so it just really loves that extra pops of white and extra dark things in
yeah.
there.
Yeah,
So,
and for the, what are you using for the white? Is that a paint marker?
Yeah, I'm using the Signal Unibow, and I'm using the General Charcoal white.
Okay. Yep.
I really love working on tone tan. It's just it's a good rich background, and this is just kind of my everyday art book. I do whatever. If I'm taking a workshop, it goes in here, or if I'm trying a new Zentangle, it goes in here. So this is just kind of my everyday art book, playbook. So I like it because it has those 3 different levels of light, medium, and dark that I can play with.
Yep. Okay. Great. Well,
The
hey,
flower
thank you
forms
very
are
much.
always a great addition to my library.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's good to just see different materials, different tools, and different reactions. And yeah, certainly the yawning makes sense. Sometimes I find I end up burping, and it's just sort of a, whatever it is to release, and you go, okay, that's what's happening with the body. Stefania?
I have a quick question for Barbara. Sorry, that tone tanning, is that the actual workbook that you're talking about? Is it like a colored paper? No,
It doesn't have a cover on it anymore. It's a Strathmore, I think, tone tan. So this is an old garbage bag I had in the living room, and it finally got holes in it, and I took the part of it I liked and put it on the cover of my
but I'm talking
book.
the paper
It's
itself.
probably-
Is it a tan color? Is the paper white, or is it a tan color? Do we have that here in Australia?
We can certainly, I know at Officeworks in Australia, you can get brown paper notebooks.
Brown paper.
In
That's
two
what it
different
is. Brown
sizes.
paper. And that white marker, or whatever she called it, what's that in Australian?
You can get paint markers in a lot of art shops and Officeworks, and they're just opaque white. And you can get them in colors as well. And when I started with, I've got some of those. I just buy maybe 4, and I just play with those. I don't buy, huge sets of them or something. But it's entirely up to you. But sometimes it's fun to have white because you can draw on colors. Yeah, that's a charcoal white. Okay, so that's
General
a charcoal white
charcoal.
pencil. That's another choice. Yeah,
It's white charcoal. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So you could do a white charcoal or a white paint
Strathmore
marker.
books, you can get toned tan and toned gray. So
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I don't know if we've got that in art shops. I know we have brown paper notebooks with brown paper. I think they're square at Officeworks. There's a A5 size, and I think there's a square one that's more like a photograph album size. And yeah, after seeing somebody else's, I've went out and bought some of them too. I have a whole bunch of different art journal notebooks that I draw in at different times. So I might pull a different one out of the cupboard just to draw on tan one time.
right.
And so yeah, it's kind of, and also it can be fun to experiment with different paper. And I find just drawing with black on different kinds of paper can look really different. So it can add something to a really simple drawing process without you needing any more, skill or difference. You can do this same drawing on white and the same drawing on brown paper, and it's like, wow, that's got a really different look to it. And that can just be kind of fun. Not needed, but just kind of fun. Yeah. Any other art questions? Great. Okay. Well, hey, thanks very much for joining me. The next session will be really interesting. I really love your feedback. It's going to be sort of an emotional venting one that is just kind of fun. And you don't need to be in a bad mood, but you can come angry, depressed, anxious, whatever. But it's a sort of an exuberant one where you get to and it's not about making an image at all. So we quite fun to get to the response back from that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank you, Jean.
And
Bye, everybody.
Thursday.
Yep, very good. I'll see you next time.
All right, bye.
I'm just going to save my chat and we'll go from there. Okay, bye. Okay, let's say neck. Okay. Ask regarding the breathing is awful. Yeah. Okay, rest was awful. Okay, yep. Okay.